He doesn't have
All right, we live. We
the
live.
intro video in the. Uh,
I believe he does.
He got some pirates save America. They got some pirate chopped down cherry tree with George Washington. They got some pirate beat the British in Revolutionary War. They got some pirate built the Continental Railroad. They got some pirate won the Civil War. They got some pirates save America. They got some pirate discover electricity. They got some pirate made the first flying machine. They got some pirates saved the world in World War I. They got some pirates saved the world in World War II. They got some pirates save America. They got some pirate marched with Martin Luther King. They got some pirate landed on the moon with Neil Armstrong. They got some pirates saved America. They got some pirate shotguns with Ronald Reagan. They got some pirate smoked weed with Bill Clinton. They got some pirate played basketball with Barack Obama. They got some pirate made money with Donald Trump. They got some pirate took naps with Joe Biden. They got some pirates save America. They got some pirates save America. They got some pirates save America. They got some pirates save America.
We in the building. Well, Ox isn't quite here yet, but you know me, Jalen Carter in the building with my guy Pirate. How you feeling, Pirate?
what up, Jalen? How you doing?
Doing good.
We'll be
doing good.
we'll be putting together a new little cartoon since it looks like we're gonna have your Canadian influence
Yeah,
on the show. So get that new cartoon up and running soon. Yeah, man, I'm chilling. Just trying to fucking settle into this. I guess winter is here, huh?
Winter is here. The snow is coming. You know, power outage is about. So first snowfall of the year, it's always, people forget how to drive. Sometimes the power in some areas, just kind of stop working for a bit. But at least for us, the city does well to clean it up pretty fast. Snow comes down and the roads up.
Do you get a lot of those
A lot of those like snowfalls or
power outages in the winter?
no, very rare.
No, that's good.
Yeah, it wasn't even like structure. I think sometimes it just could have been the provider just had an error issue. You know what I mean? So it could just be one of those.
Where are you at? Like right around? Are you in Toronto?
Like near the GTA. We call it Greater Toronto Area. So
Okay.
it's about half an hour away from downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah, so in the area.
Yeah.
So yeah.
that's cool. I've been watching a lot of Canadian news this week to try to Canadian and Mexican news. To try to try to hear what the insiders over there are saying about all these tariffs.
Yeah. Hey, didn't Trudeau and Trump meet up in Mar-a-Lago? They had a little meeting.
Trudeau flew down to Mar-a-Lago. Yep. To
Told Trump, hey, none of that
kiss.
stuff.
I think it was a bit more of kissing the ring, but I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I look. I mean, Trudeau's probably not going to last many more months. We'll have an election called next year, so I mean, him and Trump will only be, in office together for a couple months.
Yeah, the Canadian news I've been watching, they are not high on Trudeau. So
No,
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of I probably mainly watched, I guess, it was the CBC. So
CBC,
where would you say that the CBC kind of lands on Canadian media?
People say like left leaning. It's government sponsored or government funded.
So the CBC is left leaning, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
The only right wing news network we have, but they're kind of like crazy, right? They're kind of like the One America News. It's like Rebel News, but they're like kind of really, really right. There's no like equivalent to Fox, as you could say.
Really?
Like,
okay.
Like One America is like even more right than Fox News, you'd say. Right? They're like a niche,
right.
like more right. Yeah, so that's like Rebel. We have like a Rebel News network.
Super.
Yeah, so like super.
Okay, yeah.
There's
but
no
the
like
CBC is the CBC like the biggest?
Yeah, CBC is the biggest for sure. Yeah, and I think
that was kind of my
media. It's since it's got like state sponsored in a sense, it's funded. Not so I guess say state funded. There really isn't
right. It's like our PBS.
Yeah. There really is any huge independent news group in Canada. You could say from online resources where a lot of people probably get their independent news from. But yeah, it's not like America where you have so many different providers of news.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? I would feel kind of like iffy about the government kind of monopolizing
how it's being funded.
Media,
I definitely is problematic. I just don't get my information from there. Like I'll just try to like actually read or understand what's going on without an opinion, like just kind of the facts of it, and then kind of make my own deduction from there, doing research with it, or even like going on Twitter and just seeing the opinions of people who are far right, far left, and the truth is usually somewhere in the middle, right? That's just kind of the thing. His and her opinion, truth is somewhere usually.
Yeah.
So kind of.
No, I think these days you really, these days you got to try to diversify your sources as much as possible, because it's, even if you follow just like one or two or even three, I feel like a lot of people tend to, even if they follow two or three sources, they tend to be either on the left or on the right. So you're not like hearing a lot that's different. But it was interesting tapping into the Canadian news as much as I was this last week, just because, like I said, it did kind of come off like it was more a liberal leaning. It seemed like most all the panels would have like maybe one conservative, and then the rest of them would kind of like a CNN type thing, where you have the token conservative, and then kind of the liberal panel. But goddamn, it seemed like even like the whole liberal panels were very critical of Trudeau. Very worried about the tariffs, and also like just a ton of talk about an election, getting an election.
Yeah, the election again. Yeah, the election definitely happening. In a few months. That's just kind of the next big thing. So it's almost like how in America, I mean, Biden's kind of like the lame duck president right now. Just when the parties won it, it's kind of like that with Trudeau. It's just there's really. I don't see any way he wins unless some crazy situation happens with Pierre. Hear some crazy allegation pop out, when the election starts or something like that. But it should be a Ronald Reagan-esque.
That's what it sounds like, right? It sounded like Labor's like down in the 20s.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. The Liberal, they're definitely have to rebuild over the next decade to get the trust back of the people, you could say.
Yeah, so I mean that's a tough situation, man. When you got Trump coming in,
I mean it's kind of like when the Obama thing, like right, like conservatives have to win back the trust of the people after the Bush situation. Even though I think Bush took a lot of flack for the housing crisis, the economy, the worst it's been. Him and the Republicans took all the blame for that. Even though again, Ronald Reagan is the main reason for that. But then, so the Obama came in, and I was going to say like it took 2 election cycles for Republicans to win again, and I think for the Liberals, it'll take 2 election cycles. So they'll lose this one, they'll lose the next one, and then the one after that is probably where it'll be competitive again. Yeah, no, they called it the autopsy of the Republican Party. After all that, everyone thought it was dead, but
That's one thing I got. You look at American politics. It's a lot of people really don't like the two-party system. I love it. I think it's actually a fundamental part of the American system. And I think in the end, like, neither side is ever dead. You know, neither side's ever.
It always goes up and down.
You get beat. You lick your wounds. You see what you were doing that people didn't like, and then you tend to adjust. You know, I mean, what's the alternative in this system? It's like you would have to. You can either go in a prolonged slump. You know, like the Democrats were in a prolonged.
Right, he was independent when he ran.
Well, but then he ran as a Republican. So he ran as both. He ran as a libertarian.
Yeah, he was like a libertarian type of guy, which I probably would have voted for him if I.
Yeah, I did.
I could. Yeah, I'm with that.
I did. I voted for libertarians like two or three times, at least two.
Yeah, it would take to me to break out the two-party system. It would take a very, very, very special candidate.
Well, and you would need and it can't really happen just overnight, you know. I mean, the last time it kind of happened overnight was with the Republican Party, right? Like the Republican Party was established in 1854, and then we ended up getting Abraham Lincoln as a president in 1860. So that's pretty good. You establish your party, and then you got the president 6 years later. But I don't think that can really happen anymore. It's like you would need a prolonged slump of one of the parties where they just keep losing and losing, and then some other third party in their camp, either on the left or the right, starts
I think you would need a big name that's already known, whether it's a celebrity-esque name or a politician, and then a huge amount of money backing you. Like I'm talking, like you need an Elon Musk backing
but
you.
For prolonged, right? It couldn't just be one cycle. It would have to be like over the course of a decade.
What? I think it would have been. I wonder if let's say the candidates were Biden and let's say Mitt Romney, right? Those are the candidates. If Trump ran I said Kamala and let's say it was Kamala against Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
let's say that. If Trump ran as independent,
would he have won?
He would have split. Obviously, Mitt Romney would have taken some votes away. But man,
I think Kamala would probably win in that situation.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because the vote will be split, but it might be closer to people think. It might be closer to people.
I think it might be close. I mean, the closest thing we have is Ross Perot's run, right, where Perot came up, and Ross Perot really was not a very charismatic guy. Honestly, I don't know if you ever seen video of him, but he was kind of like an old Mr. Burns type of guy. But people want to change, so he popped up with I think it was called the Reform Party in '92 and '96.
Okay,
he was able to get 15 or 20%, which is pretty huge when you think about it. But it didn't go anywhere. Like after the '96 election, like the party didn't go anywhere. He didn't go anywhere. So yeah, it would take tremendous circumstances to watch either the Democrats or the Republicans actually die and be replaced. I don't see that happening unless some really crazy, like World War III, collapse of the world economy, prolonged war, that kind of stuff happened, combined with some other stuff. So, it's going to be red versus blue for a while.
Didn't China just impose some taxes on America, or they stopped? Not taxes. They stopped They said they're going to stop exporting these goods that are very vital for America's tech situation. China exports. Let me see. Bring it up.
Bring it on, China.
Here, China
we'll go back to
of critical minerals in the U.S. as trade tensions escalate.
We don't need your minerals. We'll go back to steam engine. All right, it'll be good.
Minerals are crucial. These minerals are very important for a lot of the tech stuff.
We'll go steampunk, man. Everybody will be running around in a top hat and a monocle
I do think China wants to flex. You can't push us around. which is true too. I mean, look, China exports a lot of very important materials to a lot of countries, so
they do have those raw minerals.
Yeah, very crucial. Which is very crucial. So,
I think that's really the only like super crucial thing that they have. Everything else, I mean, it's like valuable imports, but could be kind of replaced or mixed up.
I do think like if China stopped exporting all the stuff that they sell at Walmart, that's been imported from China, that Walmart imports from China, you would see a drastic price increase. And we're talking when people go to Walmart, which again I think is probably the most visited store in America, and they see prices of clothing, whatever they're buying there, jump up 30, 40, 50, 60%, that'd be very noticeable for the buyer.
It's all right. We're in this is a cultural revolution. We're taking America back to our Puritan ways. All right. The women are going to be in the back sewing up the
crazy.
clothes.
Don't condone that. I do not condone that.
The women are going to be making the shirts in the back. The men are going to be out,
that's crazy.
Building the railroads.
All you women out there who are, lawyers, doctors, all that, keep doing you, man. Don't be tied down to the sewing machine.
We don't need no Walmart, man. We don't need this consumerist society.
Everyone's down for a revolution until they see how their day-to-day life really changes from what they're used to. And they're like, wait, am I willing to go through that? Essentially have to sacrifice maybe months, years to get to a place where we're finally kind of happy or production's back at the level that it needs to be. I just don't think a lot of people are willing to sacrifice that time required to, if you really want a revolution and change how America, produces its products as a whole, exports, imports, consumerism. Again, it takes time. It'll take years. It's not a 1 week, 2 week plan.
Yeah, and China is the whale. Like we were talking last week about the tariffs with Mexico and Canada, and I think those can be worked with. But yeah, I mean China is a big dog, So if we start getting into a serious trade war with China, and then there's a bunch of talk about the BRICS, BRICS deal. China, Brazil, Russia, India. What else is it? I think those are the big players. If they start to do a push for, coming up with some new reserve currency, because I just saw something a couple days ago that said for the first time in probably forever, more than 50% of the world's currency is going to be in Asia.
Oh wow!
Not between America and Europe.
In India and China, I'd assume.
Yeah, I would guess.
Yeah,
China's definitely pulling the weight in that, but so
I think if I was heavy on entrepreneurship, wanted to build companies, this and that, I would definitely go to India, where it's again, there's so many parts that aren't developed. There are parts that are developed, but so many parts that aren't developed, and there's so much potential just because the amount of people there. You can start some businesses there, and just the amount of how here tech companies are so a lot of the value is based on the amount of users. Even if you're making no money, it's the amount of users on Netflix when they first started, the amount of users on Airbnb, all these tech companies. That number could reach 40, 50 million real quick in a country like India if you really push it, right? So, even
India's got 1 billion people themselves.
Exactly. So you
got so many people over there, man.
Yeah, I understand. It's companies with 40, 50 million users, they're getting, $600, $700, $800 million valuations. Even if you don't charge them just because you have all those users. So for all you entrepreneurs that they want to come, go to countries where things aren't established yet. Where things aren't where they need to be. Even some countries gotta make sure countries are somewhat politically stable. A lot of countries in Africa, so much potential if you can just kind of get the government
long-term potential.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah,
long-term potential. But man, China is running like a muck in Africa. It seems like China's got the head start in Africa from everything I see.
I hear you.
Yeah, like
what's going on? What's hitting you with the U.S. stuff going on U.S.? Any of these appointees? Kash Patel, FBI director.
Yeah, I was talking about that Kash Patel. You see anything of him since then?
No, I'm not mad at the pick. I'm all for a guy who wants to go in and kind of shock the system. People seem to be upset by it. Seems like Biden wants to pardon a lot of people because of that. Will he go after people who are against Trump like he said he would? Definitely interesting.
Well, that's what we really need to talk about is the Hunter Biden pardoning. That
look, I think it's totally to me. One, I think presidential pardons are just stupid in general. I don't know who thought this idea of, hey, let's just give a president full pardoning powers for anyone who they see fit at the end of their presidency. Incredibly weird concept. I don't even know why. I mean, sure, there's a few people who are obviously innocent in jail, but now presidents are just using it for, somewhat personal. You could see it. People that they believed in. Trump did quite a few interesting people. That soldier who was convicted of killing innocent civilians, he pardoned. But he's very pro-military, so he's like, screw that, you're free. Joe Biden with the son. Again, I'm pretty sure 99.9% of fathers would do this. Like, I'm not a father. I don't think you're a father, but if you speak to a father, I'm pretty sure every father would do this to their son or daughter, whatever the case may be. And yeah, to me, presidential pardons, again, always been stupid, but I don't think it's a big deal. Obviously, it's going to be a story, but to me, it's just not a big deal at all.
Well, I think there are two separate parts to it. There's the part, should he pardon him or shouldn't he pardon him? And a lot of people fall on, you're going to pardon your kid, right? So that's one thing. And that's not even the part that I think most people are upset about. Most people are upset that for the last year and a half, he's been coming on TV 100 times saying that I'm not going to pardon him. I'm not going to pardon him. We are the party of law and order. I respect law and order. Asked again and again, like literally dozens of times he's on camera. No way I'm going to pardon him. The press secretary, whether you believe it or not, this is like the agenda that they were pushing for a year and a half. The press secretary is on camera a dozen times being asked, is he going to pardon him? No way. Is he going to pardon him? I've already answered this question. There's no way in hell he's going to pardon him. He's not going to pardon him. We're 100% telling you. And then all the minions have been running around on CNN and MSNBC for a year and a half, coming out with their little commentary where it's like, all right, now let's look at the juxtaposition. We have Trump over here who doesn't care at all about the legal system, but Biden, look at the difference. Look at Biden. Biden has said he's not going to pardon him. Look at the difference. This is the difference in the party.
And the lying.
So it's the hypocrisy and the lying that people are really upset about. It's like, if he had just come out and said like a year and a half ago, like, fuck yeah, I'm going to pardon him. What do you think? I'm the president. I'm going to pardon him. But see, that would be in the middle of an election. He didn't do it before the election, right? He waited. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too. Like during the election, they wanted to run on this presumption that they're the party of law and order who respect the system, and Trump is going to come in and just destroy democracy and destroy the establishment. And this is a vital difference that you have to. The world's history hinges on this decision that you have to make. And then a few days after the election, he comes out and he pardons him. So that's the big thing. And if it wasn't so unequivocal, it was like for a year and a half, the answer was 100%, no way in hell am I going to pardon. Over and over and over.
I can understand people being upset about that. Again, I'm not going to believe a guy that says I'm not going to pardon my son. I mean, it's just, to me, he was always going to pardon him. Again, you're a politician. Can't take everything they say. To me, if you want to lighten the blow, I would have pardoned Trump too. Just to lighten the blow, give the other side. I would have just pardoned Trump and be like, I pardon my son too. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That
people were even saying it would have been good if Trump came out and pardoned him. He'd be like, that would kind of like be really waving the. And in the end, I think you're right. It's perception. Like if you're an adult at this point, you got to look at politicians. Or it seems like you should be looking at politicians with a grain of salt. The problem is, unfortunately, we live in a society with a lot of not very smart people. So that like these are it's dirty tactics to go out there and like to a reasonably intelligent person, some of this stuff would be obvious. Like, you're bullshitting. Like, this is obviously bullshitting. But unfortunately, 40% of the people are going to gobble it up.
100%, man. Very real.
And then I just, again, with the pardon thing, I wish people could take an L on things, and move on, dust it off. It's all right. Like, you don't win every time, like when all the when everyone stormed the Capitol on Jan 6th, I took the L, man. I'm like, this ain't the best thing for us, There's no need to stand up and defend things that don't need to be defended,
breaking windows at the Capitol, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes just admit it, your guy isn't perfect.
They'll never let the Republicans forget it. Like, that'll be brought up in every election. It's like every year they'll have some remembrance for it, without a doubt. They'll remember the day democracy was attacked will go down. Even though I think,
and I'm hoping they do, because it seems like the vast majority of the population, as evidence with the election, it's kind of moved on, So
it is, but I just think Kamala is such a bad candidate. I think Kamala is just such a bad candidate and a bad messenger for certain messages that it just wasn't going to hit the way it needs to. But again, I think if a Gavin Newsom it's not going to bring you a ton of voters, but I do think with a different messenger, it could be worked in a way to paint that side in a different light.
I think with a different messenger, but then I also think that, man, the Democrats don't really have, like, pretty much all of their top guys are these kind of phony, like, robots.
Yeah.
So
if they had a good politician, I think he's a very intelligent. He's a very smart politician.
I think he's a smart guy, but I think he's like devious, and I hate him personally, as he's been my governor and then he was the mayor of San Francisco before that, So.
I think him versus JD Vance would be very, very close. Because again, Trump is such an anomaly type of guy. You're not going to find, just like I think Democrats aren't going to find another Obama for a while. I don't think Republicans are going to Trump for a while. They're very once in a maybe multi-generation. I'm
still kind of holding out hope for Vivek. I'm hoping that over the next, because I think Vivek, I think he can really take guys to test.
Oh yeah,
over the course of the campaign.
No one wants to debate Vivek. You do not want to debate Vivek. You would have to do your homework. Like, even though Gavin Newsom, I think, is well spoken, Vivek is at Obama-esque type of level. But even I think he's even more definitely a better debater even than Obama, I think.
And even in the debates, but then also just like on the campaign trail, I feel like he's smart and articulate enough to just constantly be coming up with these little sound bites. It's all about getting the sound bites.
He's not Christian though, and that's a big deal for a certain wing of the Republican Party.
Yeah, you said that last time, and I think you are. I think you are right to some extent. I'm hoping that as time goes on, all I can judge is like myself. I'm the kind of Republican who doesn't care about that stuff, and I hope that over time more people lean into that. And our party gets away from. It's kind of tough for me because I am Catholic, so technically I am like a Christian conservative, but I don't really vote like on. That's not my main driving motive in voting. So
he would be. He's probably the best candidate the next go around. Him or obviously JD Vance. They'll probably talk about whose turn it is.
I like him so much more than JD Vance.
I know,
like Vance is all right, but yeah, I feel like Vance doesn't have near the command of the. Like, I feel like Vivek, you can put him in a seat with no notes.
Oh yeah,
100%. Or like Rogan. You want to go on Rogan and have a 3-hour conversation where you don't know what direction it's going to go in and just talk about whatever. I think he's like the top of the heap.
And a lot of the left wing can't use the usual arguments. Like, what are you going to say to a Is he Indian American? I believe. So
I think he's Indian.
Yeah, an Indian American person of color. So the whole like racism thing, you just sound like an idiot if you start using that card on Vivek. You know
I think you do sound like an idiot, but somehow they still do it. You know, it's like they're so stuck on the identity politics. Yeah. They look at they look at you. All right, if you're a Republican or conservative, you're either a racist or a sexist, or if you are actually a woman or a person of color, then they say you're like internalizing your racism. You're an Uncle Tom. You're like you're a woman who hates women. It's like, you know.
Hopefully they move away from that next go around. I actually know my AOC, even though she's definitely more left wing. I actually think she can galvanize the voters, get them excited in a Bernie Sanders-esque way. She could definitely do that. And I actually think I don't think she's as.
I think she'll be 30 now. Yeah, yeah.
She's obviously not as intelligent. But again, I mean, how many politicians are as well spoken and intelligent as Vivek?
Yeah, not many.
I can't name one politician right now off the top of my head.
Right now, no. I would say
the people I think of are like intellectuals. You know what I mean? Like some of the guys you see on the internet. You know, so definitely not a politician like that. So he would definitely be interesting, but we'll see. You know, if that happens. But yeah, like I said, I think AOC would be interesting. I'm trying to think what else happened in. I mean, let's see some of these videos you sent me on Telegram, talking about some of the issues you want to hit up. Let me scroll this up. What do you want to hit up first?
Yeah, well, I think that first one was. What's that? Yeah, just pop on whatever, man.
Yeah,
pop on whatever.
Let me pop. This like before.
The first one's with all the media, some of the stuff they were saying about Joe Biden. I think that would really illustrate like what we're talking about with the hypocrisy. With the Hunter Biden.
Hunter pardon thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see.
And I was looking into the whole pardon thing too, right? Because it seems like it's kind of sketchy, right? Just the blanket pardon.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
But actually, more countries have it than I thought.
Oh, interesting.
It goes back to, I guess it's some of the purpose for it is to try to get ahead of this, you know, like with the Banana Republic type thing, where you have
playing the Trump. We're playing the Biden video.
Yep.
Look at this volume up here.
Convicted.
Let's wait to see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial, what we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, what?
See, so it's like,
okay,
you get a year and a half of that shit, and it's like, kiss my ass, you know? And then, once he pardons it, I'm not ready just to pivot to, well, yeah, it's his son. Like, I mean, of course we should understand that it's his son. Kiss my ass.
I just never believed it. Like, there's no way I would ever, if someone told me to place a bet, I was going to place $1 million bet that he would pardon his son. There's no way in any world do I think Joe Biden would.
After a while, I started to believe that he wouldn't, just because of this stuff, because it had been so long and daily. And like,
I think he thought that Trump would for sure lose. I don't think he envisioned Trump winning. You know, so then because obviously if Kamala won, he probably wouldn't need to pardon him, and then that situation would be forgotten by the time the next.
Dude, this Biden administration, it's so funny that how, like, dude, you know, halfway through this administration, like a lot of the press and people were trying to push that, like, this is one of the greatest administrations in the history of America. Joe Biden is like a top five president of all time.
He did add the most jobs ever in a term, right? He holds that record.
Come on.
Like, obviously the COVID bump and everything. But hey, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Like, I mean, one day, I mean,
I'm gonna take that to the grave. That I created the most jobs ever in the history of America of any president.
Oh yeah, no, that's what they're, and the fact that the older I get, the more I just accept, man. The population is, goddamn, there aren't that many smart. There aren't that many smart people. Yeah, and even people who are like smart in some ways, you know, it's like people want to hear what they want to hear, you know. Feel like it's amazing how you can get even reasonably intelligent people in most areas, but then once the emotions of this kind of stuff gets mixed in,
let's see this Christmas one you sent me too.
Oh yeah, this I forget. I think this is our Attorney General in California.
California, Rob Bonta, just announced that holiday shoppers should spy on department stores and report any business that doesn't have a gender-neutral toy aisle. These businesses will face fines from the state of California of $250 to start and $500 for repeat offenders. California.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, I think.
That's the kind of stuff where I think it would really hurt Gavin Newsom in a national race.
Yeah, is he supporting that? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Those are the issues that you just don't.
Yeah.
You don't talk about. Again, I think that's up to the store. If the store finds that a gender neutral section gives them more money, sure, all the power to you, right? Whatever drives profit, whatever drives sales. If a store wants to only sell toys for girls or only for guys based on their research on what's going to bring them more money, you should do that. So I think finding that seems definitely a little ridiculous.
No, that's where California is out of whack. You know, I mean, California is really they really buy into this. Like the government can tell people to do pretty much damn near everything, and to like most average Americans, even most Democrats, I would say it's like, hey, man, it's your store. Like,
I'm pretty, like I said, I'm left wing, and I think that's ridiculous. I'm trying to figure out who are the people, because even the Democrats I know would think this is ridiculous. Who are the people that think this is okay?
It's that 15% of just the radical left that like really exists, and apparently they got to cater to. And that's why I think they're in such trouble. You know?
Yeah, they got to stop catering to these loud voices that are clearly in the minority. They may be loud, but clearly in the minority.
And that's why I say it's just it. You know, people have. My opinion is that it definitely is. It is more sizable and influential on the left. I think it's up in that 15 to 20% range where they have to. They can't just ignore them during the course of a campaign. You know, and then if you compare it to the right, like what are you gonna say are the extreme right, like the people who are actually pushing for fascism or something? Like, here's the thing: Donald Trump can come out and just. Demonize white supremacy, right? That's not a problem. That's not going to hurt you in the popular vote. He doesn't have to cater to the KKK or you know, or some fascists who want who really want to destroy the country. But the Democrats, they do have to cater to this far left segment of their party, and that's a formula that I think it's tough for them to figure out. You know? Yeah,
I think Democrats don't have to cater to them. For some reason, they think they do, but I think this election clearly told you that you don't. You have to cater to I don't want to call the regular or moderate Democrats what you want, because I think the kind of the left that does support the gender neutral toy section and all that and fines, which is ridiculous. I think that they'll still vote for the moderate Democrat because they just hate the right so much, even if you don't appease to all their wants and needs.
I think they wouldn't have to cater to the radical left if they hadn't already over the last 10 years given up so much of the working class. of America, because that used to be the Democrats' bread and butter.
Yep,
It was just like an average working class.
I still think
You
that's
know.
what Democrats are for, though. You know, the working class,
But not really when you look at the makeup. I mean, if you look at the makeup of the people who voted Democrat this time, like look, people who made less than 50,000 voted Republican. People who made less than 100,000 voted Republican.
Yeah,
and then
whole, like, college educated thing leads to high. Yeah,
and then this whole college educated thing, which I think is funny the way that the Democrats interpret it, because it just switched. You know, for the longest time, it was more college educated people voted Republican.
Really?
But what? Oh yeah, yeah. It didn't happen. It was George Bush Jr. was the first time it started shifting the other way. So, but the Democrats aren't going to go back and be like, well, I guess voting for Reagan was the intelligent thing to do because the college educated, right? So, but it's because of these new. I feel saying being college educated in 2024 isn't the same as
it's not the same
what
as
it
it was
used
in
to
the
be.
70s, 80s,
No.
90s.
Yeah, it's like so many of these like gender study, humanity degrees,
And it just
liberal
comes
arts
off,
stuff.
It comes off as very snobby. Comes off as very I'm better than you. I just think Democrats have to stop using that term in terms of voter base and all that. It's there's no way you come off as likable even using that term. And I've never heard that term being used and people felt good about it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think they have a big snobbiness issue, but I think that's easier to say than solve, because it's like in the end, how do you make a snob not a snob? Yeah,
You just gotta stop the Sonny Hostin of the world from having a voice in such a large platform, and people.
But at this point, that's such a big part of what the Democrat Party is. These like the college educated ivory tower. They're snobby. They're snooty. They look down on the average working class. So it's a combination of those people and then the radical left. And then of course there's some working class mixed in there, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But
unions used to be all pro-Democrat, and now they're showing a lot more Republicans. So that's
exactly for
lost.
This last election, most of the unions didn't even endorse the Democratic Party because a lot of them they did surveys, and a lot of their workers were going to vote Republican. So the biggest ones stayed out of the election.
100%. Well, hopefully Democrats figure it out. Maybe I'm gonna go consult the Democratic Party. They get paid very well too. I think these consultants. So gotta go figure out how to get a consultant job with them. And,
dude, I thought about it because I think look at you look at like Kamala and you look at the campaign. I honestly feel like most average Republicans, if you just pluck them off the street, they could have told the Democratic establishment all the things that they were doing wrong in this. Because I watch a ton of like leftist Democrat media, and it's just so surprising when I watch it. They still don't don't know what happened in this election. They don't get it. And it's like I'm watching them, and it's like it's you. It's
you gotta look in the mirror sometimes. Can't be finding fault everywhere else.
Yeah, it's you. It's like people don't like you. People don't like these things that you say when you come on like 2 hours a day. But they're not just gonna like disappear. So
100%. Well, hopefully they learn. Again, if you don't learn from this, it'll be tough to learn from anything else. I say you mentioned you got the Palestine protests.
That's up in Canada. So I don't know. Have you?
That's in Montreal.
Have you seen?
That's in Quebec, and you know how? Do we really pay attention to stuff called Quebec? Not really. Shout out Quebec. Quebec always complains when our national lottery, someone from Ontario mostly wins, right? Because there's more population. But they have a high percentage of winners relative to their population, so it's weird. But yeah, only time I ever hear Quebec is
where Quebec has their. Where does their party rank? Are they below the
Quebec Quad? They're basically like the Green Party.
Are they like fourth?
Yeah, they're fourth.
They come in fourth. Are they gaining any ground?
No, you can't. They just kind of stay the same. Like people in Quebec will vote for him. But think about it. Why would anybody outside of Quebec ever vote for the Quebecois?
Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like,
I mean, they speak French, right? So
yeah, that's their almost like this again, separate country within a country.
But what are they? Do they lean more conservative or?
I mean, they love Trudeau. he was sweeping Quebec his first couple. I mean, yeah, the first swept them by a mile.
Are they really just about like the independence of?
Well, they can go out. They can go either way.
Yeah.
Conservative, liberal. They kind of swing. They're a swing state, so they're a swing province for sure. They're a swing province for sure.
But what's their issue? Is it still just like independent Quebec?
Oh yeah, independent.
Like,
yeah, they just want their own kind of sovereignty in a lot of ways. They just want to be as independent.
So they'll just try to connect with whoever they think might.
Yeah, I mean, they help Trudeau get some power, so they'll vote with them or vote with whatever majority if they want even more. So the 7th, whatever seats they get, just kind of helps whichever party's in power. Just in case. So yeah, I mean that's Quebec for you. But yeah, I see that this protest. Let me see. I'll bring up the clip here. Let me see. And this is from from Rebel News. Remember I told you the very right wing news media?
Oh, okay. So that's a right wing news site. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you see anything on that when it was happening?
Yeah, I mean it was on like my Instagram and Twitter feeds and all that. Our look talks about this every now and then. Some pages on Instagram. Everything we're doing for last year, the streets of Montreal. They're trying to look like this. Why can't it be ruined over coffee we're not involved in? Yeah, so I mean that's pretty standard Rebel News. They're very Canada first at the moment, stealing Trump's slogan. In terms of the protest, I'll always support a group's right to protest. I think it's fundamental, whether I agree with it or not. Doesn't really matter. You can protest whatever you like in the streets. You have a right to do that. That's a right that should be protected at all times because it's a very slippery slope once you start stopping protests or blocking it. It can be a very dangerous game there. So, but in terms of the issue, hey, you kind of want the war to stop, the conflict to stop, a lot of innocent people dying. And I think Israel and Palestine can coexist. That's my take on that.
Well, I agree on the right to protest, but also I think it's a slippery slope in both directions, honestly. I think it's slippery as far as stopping. But I'll just take my personal experience here in the Bay Area because people get crazy out here, right, with their protests.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like a lot of people, they start doing other things that aren't protests and calling it a protest. Like they would shut down the highway, right? Like hundreds of people go out and just lay down in the middle of the highway and call it a protest. And they say, well, you can't do anything to me. I'm protesting.
Yeah, the idea of a protest is to get everyone's attention. I do think obviously if they're stopping traffic in a legal way, you could say they do have to remove. Maybe I wouldn't remove them right away. I would give them 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the time is. But at some point,
I would say no. That's just not a protest. I would say you can't just say anything that gets attention is a protest, right? It's
a revolution.
It's like protesting is you should be able to go out in the public square and express your message. That's protesting. Well, once you start, if you're shutting down highways or if you're
breaking
if you're smashing up downtown, if you're lighting everything on fire, these things aren't protests.
I hate when people burn flags of countries. I
do too.
Even countries who I think are bad, I think burning another country, because I think that again, there's probably good people in every country. They have soldiers that fight for them. I would never burn another country's flag, even if I really hate what they're doing.
And especially my own. But I totally agree. Like I grew up in the Cold War where it was, USA versus USSR.
Yeah.
I would never want to burn a USSR
that's just
flag or anything.
There's no level of, I mean, it's interesting, even with soldiers, like even soldiers fighting two different sides, there's a level of respect between the soldiers, even if you're on two different sides, like we're fighting for what we believe in. And burning another country's flag is not something not some you do. So I think that.
Well,
I don't think you should go to jail for it because that's a slippery slope. But no, it's just
I agree. Yeah.
Not something I would condone.
I don't think you should go to jail. But then at the same time, if you're a jackass, you're out in public and you're like burning the American flag. Like I think everybody else has the right to be like, hey, you're a jackass.
I think all those people that were protesting and then ended up like robbing 7-Elevens or these stores, they don't really believe in the cause. They just wanted free stuff. I think they should all be in jail for a minimum of a year. I would have locked them all up a minimum for a year. I would have called the whole cops in there. I'd have been like, you're allowed to shoot maybe like something to tranquilize them. Maybe tranquilizing bullets. I don't know if you're allowed to shoot them with. That's probably
I saw a video of I forget what country it was. Might have been Singapore or something. But the cops came out with these like fire hose cannons that shot the crowd down with like blue dye.
Okay.
So everyone who was in the crowd, like now they have this permanent blue dye. So when they run out, you can easily mark them with the blue dye.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you start burning stuff, I think it should be whatever the penalty for the crime is, plus a little bit more, because you're committing this crime. You're taking advantage of like you say. I mean, society wants to have the ability to protest. So if you're the kind of person who comes in and you take advantage of that situation, and you're using the protest as an umbrella to do all these other things, I think the penalty should be, even more than what the penalty for that crime would be under normal situations, because you're really, you're now causing a wedge issue for a society that doesn't need to be there. It'd be nice if all of society could be on page with like, yes, we need to be able to protest, but it needs to be civil, and everybody can just agree to that.
Yeah.
Because if it's not that, you're gonna get the people who want to shut down the protest completely, and then you're gonna get the people who want to take advantage of the protest, and we can't really let either of those extremes get in the way of the principle of protesting.
100% agree with you there. We got a bit left. I do have to go in about 5 minutes. Anything you want to touch on, Pirate, before I gotta head out?
I mean, I'm just really interested in seeing where where all these tariffs go, and the trade war, and how much of it is bluster and how much of it actually does affect. I heard some advisors were telling Trudeau, because when Trudeau goes down to have dinner with Trump, it's not like they're really talking about much at the dinner table, for 3 hours.
That's the pictures, yeah.
They're pretty much eating the steak, and Trudeau's listening to whatever stories Trump's fucking rattling out.
Small talk.
But their advisors in the back are talking to each other, right? I heard some advisors were saying that it's definitely 100% gonna happen. They were saying that he's gonna be using these tariffs until we balance our budget. Enough tariffs to fill in the gap.
Oh, where you're not in a deficit every year.
To where we're not in a deficit.
That would be that requires a lot of tariffs. I'm pretty sure the deficit every year is pretty high.
That does require, that would be at least like over $1 billion. I think like 1.2, 1.3 billion.
I thought the deficit's like almost.
Trillion.
Yeah, trillion. I was going to say, if it's 700 billion. 1.2
yeah, it'd be like
1. To make up $1.2 trillion on tariffs. Man.
I think we were getting 400 billion out of the last round.
It's 3x that. Get some more countries involved. That'd be interesting to see. You got to pay on that debt somehow. If tariffs does it, I can definitely understand it, but it'll be interesting to see how that works. It's either that or you just lower the budget of maybe I think Elon and Vivek will save you 100 billion maybe. So just to get everything efficient, maybe 200 billion if you're lucky.
Yeah, no, I mean he came out the gates talking big, talking about 2 trillion.
That's aggressive. You can do that.
Yeah, he's not going to cut 2 trillion, but I think you could easily snip 300 billion. I think easy.
I think 100.
Focusing first on the Pentagon.
Yeah, the Pentagon just how they fail audits and continue to operate the way they do for this long. The corruption's at the top. Corruption's at the top, clearly.
Yeah, I think you could easily trim at least a couple $100 billion off the Pentagon, and pull back. And we'll still have the biggest, baddest military in the world. It's like we got room where we can trim this thing down and still
cutting it down by like 50, 80 billion, let's say even 100 billion military, you'll still be fine.
Oh yeah, we're almost at $1 trillion. I think.
No, what do you spend military a year? What's the number?
Almost $1 trillion. It's like $900 billion. That's and they're failing every audit, so it's like
you can bring that number down.
And we're doing all this.
You can bring that number down to 700. You'll be okay.
Yeah, we're not even in a war. There isn't even a war. So.
Yeah, I was going to say imagine you just start a war. Then your deficit's cooked, pirate.
Well, that's what happened with Bush, right, man? The 2000s could have been like a glory age if it wasn't for the whole 9/11.
Afghanistan, if it wasn't for that whole situation, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. Ooh.
Everything was looking pretty rosy.
What was the deficit in 2001?
It was good. We had a surplus in '98.
Oh, but the country was still in debt though a bit, but not at the level they're at now.
We were in debt, but it was pretty manageable. It was probably like 5 trillion or something, and we had a surplus, and the economy was going good. I think Bush came in his first couple of years. It was a deficit, but it was a minuscule deficit. Everything was real manageable and looking good. Yeah. And then the 9/11 thing fucking kind of ruined everything.
I can see that. Yeah, that definitely changed the course of history in a lot of ways for sure. It'll be interesting to see if America can pay back down over the next decade, see how much they can really get in there. So that's all the time we have. Next 50 years. Man, will you be around in 50 years, Pirate?
50 years? I probably wouldn't bank on that. I wouldn't. Well, hell, I might as well bet on it. I won't be here to pay, so yeah.
You'll be okay. But all right, chat. It's been real. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Another episode in the books. Big Ox, Pirate, and Jalen. This is only Jalen and Pirate, Aladdin and Pirate, whatever you want to go with. New intro coming.
Big Ox coming one day.
We'll be back on next week on Tuesday. We set to move it to this day. Technical difficulties yesterday, and we'll talk about the news. Any closing thoughts for you, Pirate?
Everybody just have a good weekend. Keep your eyes open. Transition's coming here, so like I said, this is going to be. I think this is going to go down as probably the most impactful 4-year term
we shall
of our
see.
lifetime.
And I think a lot.
It's about to get crazy.
Yeah, a lot of news will pick up close to inauguration. You know what I mean? Like when he actually gets into the office, they say implementing stuff. Because right now, technically, slow season. Like it's just nomination. You have a lame duck president. You know what I mean?
And the nominations will be fun too. I love nomination hearings. As when people really go in.
I hear you.
So that would be fun.
All right, chat.
All right, everybody have a good weekend.